Good evening. How are Jeff Legends doing tonight? We've just gone live. We're a couple of minutes late. It's been a busy day. I'm sure a couple of you have been maybe doing a few of the workouts, but we've ramped things up. You've most probably earned a good supper tonight as well. So we're going to cook something delicious for you. So thanks for joining in. We've got a few minutes before, well, we've got about 6 or 7 minutes before we're going to start cooking and doing all the easy work. Tonight's going to be super simple. If you haven't had a chance to get everything together, you've got a few minutes still to do it. We might just pop up the recipe quick or the ingredients quickly. But get things together, get a little bit of prep done. What's important right now, make sure you've got a pot of water boiling for the gem squash. It's just going to save you a little bit of time later. Cut your peppers in half. What else? De-seed your gem squash. Those also need to be in half. Make sure your fish is out of the fridge so that it can get a little bit sort of warmer, get it to room temperature so it cooks a little evenly when we get to that later. And then we're going to get cooking. So, got a few minutes to chat. I'm just going to bring up who's with us here and see what's going. Who's here? The Reddings, my favorite couple, up in Joburg. Libby and Richard, super. I think they had the recipe from last week a couple times this week already. They're on our one-in-one program doing really nicely. So the pictures that were coming through was some beautiful looking coconut chickpea curry, which looked fantastic. So guys, any questions about the produce, the ingredients, the prep you need to do, send them through now. I'll try to cover as many of them as we can. Petrus, good evening to you. Chloe, how are you doing? Freeze-dried sage spice. It was a little bit difficult to find some fresh stuff, but we got it. You can use it for the flavor. You're not going to get sort of the same nice texture, but we're just flavoring a little bit of butter to go into the mash later. So if you don't have anything, that's going to be better than nothing. So you can use a bit of dried sage. That's not a problem. Who else is here? Kim Jones, the Joneses. We're keeping up the Joneses tonight. Some faithful. They might be family, but I don't have to pay them to attend. But they're here with us. Hopefully, Gary's in the kitchen tonight for a change. I'm joking. He's pretty good. How do we prep the sage and the peppers, Petrus? The sage, nothing. Just pull it off the stalk, put it aside. Let me show you guys, actually. I've got everything ready here to go. So, quick view of the ingredients. So, I'm actually cooking 2 different fish tonight. I'm going to tell you a little story about those in a bit. They're absolutely beautiful. I've got the peppers. We've just cut them in half, de-seeded them. The gem squash, de-seeded, got a little bit of butter, and the sage, guys, we've just got some nice whole leaves. For anyone doing the vegetarian version tonight, I thought I'd sort of get fancy and do 2 different things. So let's hope that works. We've also got the tofu. All right, so if anyone's got some tofu and you want to do that, this is a pretty cool way to cook it. Something that's nice sort of vegetarian protein, good for us, but sometimes is rather bland. So I'm marinating it there in a little bit of soya sauce or tamari if you need to keep it entirely gluten-free. Some sriracha and some olive oil. So about a teaspoon of each went in there. Nice little cubes. If you're doing the tofu, guys, put your oven on and get it nice and hot up to 180. And I'm going to show you how to run through that in a little bit. So Gabriella, yes, preheat the oven. If you're doing the tofu, preheat the oven. If you're not, we're going to use the grill for the peppers. So you can get your grill nice and hot so that they can char them. It's going to be beautiful. I'm going to have to make a little workaround. I'm going to show you how I'm doing it. If you've got a gas hob, I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to grill your peppers as well. The savages are here. I think this is just my family watching today. Zani, good to have you in. We've got to get her on sometime.
Hi, guys.
Ria's in the house.
Hi, Zani.
So Zani's a super cook, comes from her own sort of lineage of fine dining, her and her sister, so we often get a little treat up there. So it's nice to be able to show you something, but I think everything you already have learned. Chantal, Nazna, cool. We've got a little bit of the Eastern Cape or the Eastern Coast looking in here. Kim says hi.
Hi, Kimmy.
My sister Frances, hello.
Hi, Frances.
This literally is my family. Juanita, thanks for joining us.
Someone not family.
Yeah, I need to find someone on the feed here that hasn't been bribed into coming along. So we've got just over 100 of you. Let's get those numbers up. If you've got some friends, give them a shout. Tell them what you're cooking, even if they're just going to watch them. They might not have the produce yet, but let's teach them something. Any questions as well, guys? You know, as we go, I'm going to try and give you some reasons why we're using a few of the ingredients tonight, where they come from, sourcing some good quality produce. It's all looking pretty good. We've gone under the sea today, so we're trying to keep it nice and varied. Who else is here? Coach Louis, good to have you. Emma, I think you're a faithful as well. That might be 3 in a row. I don't know if you've seen them all. The big captain is in the house, John O'Mankeys. I'm really looking forward to seeing you behind the stove, so please post a picture there for us. I think everyone here is going to be quite keen to see you sweating for a different reason. Ceres here, she's finished another workout and she's back in the house. She's doing a fantastic job, and we're really pushing her quite hard, so she's earning a good supper tonight. Liza, you little beauty. King Clip, yeah, guys, what fish have you got? So let me tell you a little bit about what I've got there. I found some beautiful salmon and a little bit of swordfish. I popped out to the guys at Cape Fish today. It was fantastic. They hooked me up. Beautiful little shop. So I think you saw it a little bit earlier. I've got 2 nice fillets of, or one of salmon and one of some swordfish. I was also, while I was in there, picked up a couple of beautiful little oysters. So who needs a vitamin B12 shot or some zinc to help the immune function when you've got some oysters? So that might be the starter tonight. Guys, if you haven't, check out Cape Fish. I even picked up a cool little apron from them. You can go online. They're delivering through lockdown, which is fantastic, but you can also pop out there, place an order, send a little WhatsApp. Fantastic shop, sustainable seafood. Guys in the Cape, we're spoiled, but make sure you can kind of trace the origins of it. You know that it's Sassy Green. We support those sorts of initiatives, and Cape Fish has got some fantastic stuff. So even, you know, fresh or frozen, doesn't matter. Quality these days is so good. So if you find some frozen fish, stock up a little bit of it, nicely portioned, so you can put it out on any night of the week. Should defrost nice and quickly, and you can run through it. So if you've got a little bit of time, you're looking to stock up, give the shop, the guys at Cape Fish a call. Very lekker. All right, let's see what else is coming. Michaela's here. Michaela, how are you doing? This Jono calls you the tree hugger. You ready to cook? Have you got some tofu or some fish, Michaela? What are you cooking tonight? Lorraine, how are you doing? Tam, working hard in the background and keeping us updated here, which is fantastic. Thanks for all your hard work. We've got Alma from Pretoria, which is awesome. Blair, it's your first cook together. You're looking forward to it. Fantastic. Let us know how it goes. Let us know if there's anything you want to see on the menu. We can play around with some ideas. Next,
I used to work with you. Hello. Kind of boys, yeah.
Lawyers, guys. Winning in arguments in the house. It's not very easy. A couple coaches. Coach Jade, new addition to the team. Fantastic, guys. She's going to be helping us out with any comments, any questions. Good to have you on board, Jade. Thanks for getting here. Grant Jacobs, we've got Hannah and Bridge in PMB, hometown. So if it's not my family, it's where I grew up. Awesome to have a little bit of Maritzburg here with us. Haley's with us again. Good evening, Haley. Guys, is all your prep done? Anthea, all the way from the UK. Good to have you on board. another one of my one-on-one clients who's doing fantastically well, really sticking to the program well, getting some good results. Alison, cooking's new to you. That's what it's all about, guys. Showing you easy recipes. It's not going to take that long. We're going to get started now because I'm a minute late, but it's literally 20 minutes and you're good to go. So cooking doesn't have to be difficult. We want to break through a couple of barriers here. It can still be tasty, but it's going to be super, super simple. All right. All right, guys. So what we're going to start with, I hope everyone's water's on the boil. The thing that's going to take the longest here is going to be your gem squash. So they cut in half. You've taken the seeds out, pop them in the water. Sous Chef Greer is going to do that for me. So
huge responsibility tonight.
She did so well last week on the flatbreads that I thought we could upgrade her into where the heat all happens. So nothing special to that. Guys, in future, if you want to save a little bit of time, gem squash can take a little bit of time. But if you've cut them in half and got the seeds out, they'll cook a bit quicker. Otherwise, 5 or 6 minutes in the microwave, and then you can put them in the boiling water or just cook them in the microwave. No. So we've salted the water. Got the water on the boil, chuck in a little bit of salt, and then put in your gem squash. All right. That'll happen behind me. There's nothing special there to kind of see. Tracy's chopped up her peppers already. It doesn't matter. Listen, any way you want to cook them. I was going to stir fry them. I was going to roast them. It doesn't really matter. Your peppers, however you cook them, you're going to get a fantastic flavor with them tonight. They're going to accompany it all right. So stir fry. If you want to put a pan on, you can finish right at the end with that and get it done. All right. Tracy, that was yours. Haley's got some salmon. Fantastic. Salmon, guys, a fantastic source of omega-3. So when we're looking at some good quality proteins, our fish is going to be fantastic. It's fairly lean. Get a little bit of healthy fat from some of your fattier fish like salmon, which is one of the ones I've got in there. I've kept the skin on. It's going to cook nicely with that. So when we get to that, I'll show you a little bit about that. So make sure it's out of the fridge. Like we did with our steak in week 1, just let it come up to room temperature so it cooks a little bit more evenly. You don't want to overcook it. So you want to make sure that it's not sort of a little chilled in the middle. All right. Tanya's done 2 workouts today, which is fantastic. And now she's refueling. So that's what it's about. Nice high protein meal, going to help with the recovery. If you've jumped onto a few of the Jeff sessions today, get some of the protein in. If you worked out, if you've just done series now, you might need a bit of carbohydrate with this meal, but we're keeping it fairly low. Jared's also got some swordfish. Fantastic. For grilling, guys, when we're going to do a high heat cooking like this, something that's nice and meaty like your swordfish, and things that'll hold together, like the salmon that I'll be doing. A tuna steak would be fantastic. Some butterfish or monkfish would be pretty good. Hake, you might want to cook a whole fish. It's a little bit flaky, but not the end of the world. You could also just bang it in the oven if you wanted to cook it that way. All right. Okay, so we've got the... I'm going to turn on some heat here on the gas. If you've got your grill on for the peppers, all you need to do, guys, they're going to be in half. Put them on a baking sheet. All right. Skin side up. And stick them under a hot grill 10 minutes, and we're going to char the outside of it. Because I've heated the oven up for the tofu, I'm going to do it a slightly different way. So come over here with me. A nice quick cheat. What you can see there, we've got the gas on. I've cut my peppers in half, and I'm literally just going to chuck them on there. See? And we're going to let them cook. If I can get them to balance nicely. Just so that it burns the outside of the skin. It's going to give us a nice charred flavor. It's going to be about sort of 4 minutes. And I want it to burn. Otherwise, you're going to do the same thing with it. Oh, here you go, guys. We've got the crew. Say hello. There's too much action happening without it. So get your peppers under the hot grill. It's going to be 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes until you get a nice color on the outside. If you don't. If you've got some gas on the top and you want to do it that way, give it a go. It's super easy. The clean cooking, you won't have a tray to clean. If you're doing the vegetarian option tonight, guys, the tofu. So I just want to show you again. I cubed it. I got some nice firm tofu. I did press it out for a little bit just to get a little bit of the sort of last bit of moisture in there. Firm's going to work best for this to roast it up in the oven. Teaspoon of soy sauce, teaspoon of sriracha for a nice little spice, and a teaspoon of olive oil. I've just let it marinate, and we're going to stick it on a tray like so. Just spread it out. Oven preheated to 180, and that's going to roast for 15 to 20 minutes. If you want it really crispy, you can add a little bit of corn flour. Sorry, I'm losing my tripod here. You can add a little bit of corn flour, but I don't necessarily want that tonight, so I didn't add it. And that's going to go in a hot oven 20 minutes. Some of you might be struggling to find tofu. I did as well today. Corona's got us for that, so a lot of imports of kind of these Asian things are a little bit harder to find. I did pick up some halloumi that I was going to use as a backup prop for this, but actually thinking about it, the halloumi would work quite nicely as well. You could just cube it up, grill it, you'll get a nice little sort of chewy cheese if you wanted that in your recipe instead. Jono's got some tuna going. Fantastic. I hope you've got it out of the fridge. Jade mentioning the tofu, definitely. Blair's also got some tuna. There was tuna running in the last couple of days. Chatting to the guys at Cape Fish, they'd also got some in. So it seems like quite a nice time to get some tuna. Fantastic, very lean protein, little source of omega-3 from it as well, which is really good. So if you've got some tuna, fantastic. Nick wants to know if barbel would work. Nick, it will not. Barbel is not the most fantastic fish to eat. I'm sure not many people know. It's going to be pretty murky and dusty in there. So unless you're wrangling them somewhere in the US, and you can put them in some fresh water for a while. Let's opt for something else. You guys have a great little spa around the corner that's always got fantastic fish. Go get some tuna. Treat my sister to something decent there. All right, Jono's got a glass of wine. What are you drinking, Jono? What's everyone else drinking? We haven't touched on that tonight. Let me know what's in your glass. Maybe some Pinot Noir if you're having a little bit of the tuna, maybe a little bit of nice white to go with the fish later. Let me know what you're drinking. I've just got some water. Right, so let me show you what's happening to the peppers. Yours won't be working as quickly if they're under the grill. They need to burn. That's what we're looking for. Beautiful. So what's going to happen is once it's burnt, you're going to just scrape off the skin anyway. So you're going to get a lovely flavor. It's going to cook through, and you'll get that nice charred flavor without having to wait too long for it. All right. Everything's doing nicely. So everybody, let's recap. Gem squash should be boiling. Peppers should be in the oven under the grill, or if you've got a gas hob, sticking them on top there. And your fish is just chilling out for a little bit until we get to that. It's going to cook super quickly. So literally, it's going to be 5 minutes. The fish is going to be done, so we're going to wait right till the end for that. And I'll get to that in a little bit. All right, how's everyone doing? We've got another family member in the house.
I was going to say, Mom's here. Hello, Di.
How are you doing? Who's behind the stove? Is it you or is it Dad tonight? And what fish did you find in Maritzburg? Funny enough, places like Maritzburg, Bloemfontein, and the non-sea faring spots seem to get some better fish than we do down in the Cape. Any specific seasoning for the fish? Petrus, olive oil, salt and pepper. That's what I'm using. I've got fantastic fish. I want to taste the flavor of that. If you've got a favorite spice, go for it. A little bit of chili might work quite nicely on it. You can get a little bit creative if you want a little bit of spice, something Cajun perhaps or whatever. I'm literally salt and pepper. I want to get the great flavor of the fish going there. Tamara's got some tuna. Tanya's got some king clip. I tried. That was next on my list. King clip, fantastic. I think that'll work quite well here as well. Tracy says chopping up her raw gem squash is a bit of a workout, and it is. You need to give it a good. Maybe that's something we need to add to a couple of our sessions. Is some veg prep. Gem squash, butternuts. You get a good workout. You need a nice sharp knife or a cleaver. Couple coaches in the house. What is that? Yeah, some sage. Brought me a flower. Isn't she sweet? Loves the limelight, little Izzy. Susanna's got some Bassa. Oh, nice. That was a little bit small for me to read. That's beautiful. Where are you from, Susanna? Rachel, salmon. No gem squash. How to get cauliflower. Those are good. I had a couple questions on that this week. About some alternatives, particularly UK, Ireland. If you're not an SA, gem squash is a little bit harder to find. Spaghetti squashes, it might be the same thing, actually, I don't know, but it's pretty similar. Acorn squash over there. Otherwise, any low-carb fruits, low-carb veg. Cauliflower, we just want to mash it, so it's going to be fine. If you've got some cauliflower, that's perfect. You can use some turnip, some pumpkin, things that are on the lower carb side of it. Or guys, if you're looking for the fuel, you've got a big session tomorrow, building up to a race, you want a nice good protein, you can just mash some potatoes, and the flavors are going to work really nicely with that. Right. So Vandy, that kind of answers that question. Just got in 60 minutes, 60 miles or minutes. Either way, 60 miles. That's probably a decent slog there. Please add some carbs. Sweet potato would go quite nicely. You can throw that in the oven, let it roast while your sweet peppers are going. Otherwise, you can do a potato mash. It'll work quite nicely here. Or mix and match a couple different veg.
I feel like this is burning.
Cool. So Sous Chef says these are burnt, but they look pretty good. That's exactly what we're looking for. See the light? Nice and charged, nice and black. What's quite nice is cooking them quickly like that. They're still going to have a bit of texture, so they won't be too limp, which is great. So the peppers, if you've done them on the stove top or on the gas top, they must probably be ready. So take them off the heat, let them cool. You can stick them in a bowl with some cling wrap, and then you'll just literally be able to scrape off the skin pretty easily. But it's going to happen either way. Let me do that. I need some cling wrap. So there they are, nicely charred. Stick some cling wrap on it, let it sweat a little bit, and that skin's going to come off easily. We're going to have a nice charred flavor and a little bit of crunch from it. If they're still in the oven, have a check on them. We must probably burn in about 10 minutes with those, so you might be getting quite close. Okay. Check your gem squash. Put a little fork through it, see if it's soft enough. You might need maybe another 5 minutes or so, so that the gems are nicely cooked through. What we're going to be able to do is spoon them out afterwards and just mash them together with our beautiful sort of brown butter sage that we're going to add for some fatness.
That's right.
There you go. So should steam up nicely. It's going to sweat a little bit and the skin will come off. Okay, so otherwise, if yours are in the oven, just let them cook away. All right. So I'm going to just start getting ready for the butter and the fish. So we might as well do the butter in the meantime. We're going to get the fish on pretty soon. Let's go back to the stove. Right, so if you're doing your tofu, check on that. Give it a little shake, mix it around, make sure it's on. Okay, so guys, this is one of my favorite flavors. Get your tablespoon or two of butter. We're going to pop it over a medium-high heat in a pan, in a little saucepan. And the goal here is we want to brown it a little bit. So get it melted. You're going to almost burn it. So there's a little bit of sort of sugar in butter, and that's what we're going to brown here and get a lovely little flavor of it. As it starts to brown, we're going to throw in the sage leaves and flavor it up nicely, and we're going to add that to the gem squash mash when it's ready. It's a beautiful flavor, this, to do with other things when Greer's out the house and I've got to cook for myself. It's normally chicken liver pasta with sage and brown butter, which is beautiful. So butter is going to start melting. If the light's so good there. Should be melting. You don't want to burn it, so just keep an eye on it as it goes. And while it's going, you're going to start heating up whatever pan you're going to use for your fish. Right, while that goes, guys, for the pan and the fish, make sure you oil both. All right, so I've got a nice griddle here. You can do this on the braai, you can do it on the open flame, which is quite nice with it. You can do it under the grill with your peppers if they're going as well. Put a little bit of oil onto your pan, whatever griddle or whatever pan you're going to use, so that it doesn't stick, and then oil your fish and season it. Okay, let's do that quickly, and you can see the fish as I'm doing it. So like I mentioned, two beautiful cuts here. We've got the salmon and the swordfish. So just a little bit of oil on both. Don't be afraid to use your fingers. Okay, the salmon's got a lovely skin on the bottom that we're going to cook through and get it nice and crispy. All right. While after you've oiled it, we're going to season it as well. Okay, so a bit of salt and pepper. Like I said, if there's anything else you want to add there, favorite spice mix you've got, don't be afraid. Guys, experiment. You won't know unless you try. Okay, so those sides, the sides I'm going to start cooking with, are nicely oiled and they're seasoned. So I'm going to take them across to the other side and just wait until everything's ready to go.
Gabrielle wants to know if you can margarine. Vegan margarine.
Gabrielle wants to know if we can use vegan margarine. So I'm not too sure if it's going to brown. You won't get the same flavor. Don't know how it'll brown, but I'll tell you what, give it a try and you can let us know. So what you can see there is it's starting to go nice and brown. The butter's just about browning. You get a nice sort of caramel smell starting to come up. Don't let it burn, but it should be getting pretty close. Once it's almost brown, we're going to throw in the sage leaves, let them crisp up slightly, and get the flavor into the butter so that we can add that to the gem squash. So the butter's almost brown. The sage leaves go in there. They should start to crisp up pretty quickly. See them floating in there. But you want to mash the gem squash, please. Check on your gems. They should be cooked and nice and soft. If they're not, just let them go a little bit. And then we've got our sage leaves. Don't ignore them because they might burn or go a little bit too crisp. Right, your pan should be getting nice and hot for the fish. It's seasoned, it's ready to go, and we're going to stick that on as well.
I grab the fork.
Yeah. All right. Crispy salmon skin is your favorite, Haley. You wanted to know what the calories are on that. So here's an interesting one about skin. It's predominantly protein. So when you cook skin, you cook out most of the fat. So it's actually a very, very good source of protein. So you can use it as a little sort of nice addition. Leave some of the fat in the pan after you've cooked, so that if you want to keep it super lean. Crisps up, you can crinkle a little bit of it over the top of something. So once you've done your fish, if the skin is left over, scrape it off, add it to the top, and you should be pretty golden. All right, my 2 fillets. Salmon on. Swordfish on. Okay, guys, we're going to do 3 minutes on a side. It should pretty much cook all the way through, and then we'll finish it over on the other side just to get it done. Take you down. Okay, so if you've got someone helping you in the kitchen, your gems should be done. And you see Gria's just scooping them out, popping them into a bowl, and we're going to mash them together with that lovely brown butter. Okay, it should be sounding pretty good for you guys. All right. As you were talking about funky earlier, let's see.
Kevin Dunnigan.
Kevin, thanks for joining us. He's the man behind Cape Fish. So he sorted us out with a beautiful fish today. And there were some fantastic looking spice blends. I didn't pick any out, but Funky Omar. Check them out. They had some good. There was a turmeric ginger one that kind of caught my attention. I think that would go quite nicely with a good few seafood dishes. Right, so our salmon's cooking. Let me give you a quick update on everything. There's our brown butter and crispy sage leaves. That's done. It's off the heat. And we're mashing the gem squash over here. So take it out of the skin, and literally all you're going to do, or whatever veg you're using, if you're using your cauliflowers or turnips or whatever you were able to find, get that into a bowl, and eventually we're going to put the butter in there, mash it up, serve it with the sage leaves. Done. All right. Your fish should be cooking quite nicely. We've been 2 minutes in. I'm going to give it another 2. They're nice, thick and chunky. The key here, guys, don't move it around. Put it on your plate, or put it on your griddle. Make sure that was oiled, the fish was oiled, and just leave it. It might stick if you move it around a little bit too much. We essentially want to form a nice crust, let it cook, and it should, once you start to try and turn it, if it still sticks, it's maybe not ready to be turned over just yet. Okay, so let it cook through. It's on the plate, it's on the griddle, and just let it go. Okay. How's everyone doing? Any questions? Guys, you keeping up? Do we need to recap anything? If you're doing your tofu, it should be ready. Let me see if you can see that. So this is what our tofu looks like. It's crisped up. It's beautifully brown. It's a little bit hot, obviously. We've got fantastic little nuggets of goodness there. So if you wanted to go the vegetarian route, beautiful little cubed tofu that'll work nicely in this dish.
And I suppose using fish.
Just add the butter. So Gria's going to add the butter to our gem squash. And then, guys, it doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be put through a sieve or a strainer. If you've got a little hand whizzer and you want to blitz it up, cool, go for it. But it's really the flavors that we're after there. So leave it chunky if you want to. Yeah. And then what you'll do is once you serve, you'll just serve it with a nice crispy sage leaf on top. Okay. Fish, pretty much good to go. Comes to turning, and we're going to hope it doesn't stick. Should have some nice color on the underside. Lovely. Our salmon's looking pretty good. Particularly with salmon, guys, make sure you don't overcook it. So that's lovely crispy skin on this side. It's almost cooked through. It's only going to need a minute or 2 over there, and then literally you'll be done. Okay. So let's get ready to plate. I'm going to let that finish off. Turn the heat off on the fish. Okay. And we're going to get our peppers out. Our mash looks beautiful. You did a fantastic job over there. You should, if you have a look at your peppers, have a look if they're still under the grill. They'll literally, all of this char will just come off. You've got lovely flavor. There'll be a nice texture, and we can slice those up, and we're going to serve them along with it. All right. Make sure your, it actually doesn't matter. If they're a little bit burnt, that's cool. You can just use your hands, literally. All comes off quite nicely, and then it's ready to go. Yeah.
Oh, look at you. Where's your music on?
Your fish should be done, guys. Take it off the heat. Everything's off. And we're going to dish up. Okay, how's everyone going? Any questions? Nothing? Looking good. All right, let me get a nice plate. And show you the options that we've got. My daughter's really missing the action here, so she's going to come in and check out what's going on. Okay. Your gem squash mash should look like that. Literally, it's just take the flesh out of the gem squash, pour over the butter, add the sage leaves, and you're done. So we're going to do a little scoop of that and season it with a bit of salt and pepper. Which is cool. Lovely gem squash mash there. If you've got your tofu, you can do that. Otherwise, we've got fantastic bit of salmon. See what it finished like. There's our swordfish. There's our salmon. Okay. And Ria doesn't believe me that this tofu is going to be quite nice. To be honest, have you ever had tofu?
I have.
So we'll have to convince her. And we're just going to slice the peppers. And stick those on there. Okay, fancy without being fancy, guys. We don't need to be too crazy here. So, see what we've got.
Delicious.
What do yours guys look like? I want to see some pictures. I need the proof. Beautiful salmon from Cape Fish, some lovely charred peppers, and our gem squash and brown butter sage mash. All right. Guys, that was awesome. Nice, quick, easy meltdown hour. The half an hour that we got pushed back definitely affected sleep time here a little bit. So, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Izzy's come to say goodbye in her rain jacket and her rooibos. She's going to sleep. A little bit of protein before bed, always important. We're going to tuck into dinner. I'm going to put some of that tofu on Grace's plate so that we can convince her. It looks really good, smells great. It was super easy and quick, guys. I hope you found it quite useful. Leave some comments. Show us some love. Show us the pictures. We want to see what's going on. This fits beautifully with most of your eating programs. Our one-on-one clients, it's on plan for a lower carb dinner. Get your portions right. Make sure you've got them all there. If you've done a bit of training in the evening, maybe a little bit of carbohydrate. If you're not, play around with it. Get those together. If you need a little bit of help, obviously pop in, find us. You can message any of the coaches, drop us a line. Otherwise, we'll see you next week again, guys. We've got something beautiful lined up. We're doing a chicken and mushroom stack, which will be lovely. Post your pictures on JEFFCookTogether. If you're not already, go steady with us. Sign up there. And I look forward to some of your beautiful creations and seeing you guys all next week. Have fun.
Bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.